Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the North Shore Drive podcast. I'm Jason Mackey alongside Ray Fittipaldo. I am fresh back from Ireland. I don't know about fresh, but I am indeed back from Ireland, which I guess is more than we can say about our coworker, Ray, Brian Batko, who has got an extra day unwanted via travel. How are you doing, Ray? You stayed back. You got to watch all that from afar.
I stayed back. I slept in my own bed. Apparently, Brian got put up in a hotel by his airline, but he's not happy about it. He got bumped an entire day. So, yeah, he's been gone for what, more than a week now? You were gone a week. So,
well, you know what caught me, Ray, is that New England trip. Like the New England trip going right into Ireland, and we were all in New England as well. So, not easy.
You'll get some sleep eventually.
I will, and I'm not complaining. We're very lucky to do what we do. It was an awesome trip over there. I know you're, at least partial beer guy, Ray. The Guinness on tap in Ireland, man, it is real.
It's different.
Real. It's different.
So Aaron Rodgers was right.
Aaron Rodgers is right.
He's been saying, he said it here when he was in Pittsburgh. I know he repeated that when he talked to you guys in Ireland too. So I guess he speaks from experience.
He does, for sure.
No, you can too. And you can too.
I know. All right, so we got a great show today. We're presented by FanDuel. You know that. 24-21 win over the Vikings. Want to talk about the defense or certain components of it. Just some really good numbers, I thought. Defense was aggressive, sort of like you'd expect the Steelers defense to look. Our lead topic's going to be some of the individual performances we saw. Kenny Gainwell, DK Metcalf, and a few others. Is that sustainable or not? We'll talk about some contingency plans with Calvin Austin and a few more things with Ray. But first, have a message from our friends with Pella Windows and Doors of Pittsburgh. There's no better place to get new windows and doors installed in your home than Pella, who can help you save on energy costs year-round. Schedule a free in-home consultation with your local Pella Windows and Doors to find the right product on your home and budget. Give them a call at 866-593-1560 to discuss your project further. That's 866-593-1560 to get started planning on your new windows and doors installation with Pella Windows and Doors of Pittsburgh. All right, Ray, so I outlined some of these: DK Metcalf, Kenneth Gainwell, Nick Herbig, Payton Wilson. I'll just relist them. Which one of those jumps out to you as the most sustainable or the most encouraging?
Well, I think we've been talking about depth at linebacker really since the spring, since they made all these acquisitions. And I'm going to group Payton and Nick Herbig together.
Interesting. Okay.
Let's do Nick Herbig first. I mean, this guy, he's a starter in waiting. And every time he gets on the field, he produces. You could talk about his being small and not holding up in run defense, but Minnesota only had 70 yards rushing. So it's going to be a very interesting decision when Alex Highsmith does get back. I think they're going to have a very strong rotation, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did everything they could to get Nick Herbig as many snaps as possible. I think he's earned that. And then you flip it over to the inside backer situation. Payton Wilson didn't play well the first couple of games. Got pushed around a little bit, got bullied a little bit in the run game. Thought he was more physical in this football game. Thought he was a big part of the Vikings not getting going in the run game. And then what can you say about that play, Jason? I mean,
oh my gosh.
Tracking down Jordan Addison, great stuff. So I think the depth of inside linebacker and outside linebacker is very sustainable. And I'm just curious about how the rotation is going to unfold from here. We know they like Cole Holcomb. He's going to be key against teams like the Ravens and other teams that like to run the football. But Payton Wilson stepping back up here, and I think he's put himself back in the conversation to be a high snap guy as well.
Yep, for sure, Ray. I thought it was a lesson, internally. We talk about these guys and criticize and think things. A lot of times I think we probably rush to think these guys are finished products. Like Payton Wilson had 2 bad games. He got pushed around. He did not play well. He didn't run from that. And then he had a really good game. It was great to see the response. And we probably just need to remember that there's still some development ahead. He was so good as a rookie. But I was very encouraged by both of those guys. I think those performances are sustainable. You would have a better idea than me what happens when Alex Highsmith comes back, but I can't imagine taking Nick Herbig out of the lineup or out of the rotation, I should say, whenever he comes back. Herbig's been so disruptive. He's been really good. He's been good against the run.
Yeah.
How do you balance that?
Oh, it's not even about this season. I mean, this next game is the most important if Alex Highsmith is back. But what do you do with Highsmith in that contract? He's signed through 2027. So
Yeah.
I think it's a nice problem for the Steelers to have in the short term. There's going to be injuries. You know, you don't think that right now, but, you know, there's probably going to be more injuries before the end of the season. Sometimes that kind of works itself out. But I think in the end, you know, Highsmith and Sawyer might have bigger roles against teams that like to run. And I think it's just natural. You look at TJ Watt, you look at Nick Herbig and how disruptive they are when they're playing in tandem. You got to get those guys on the field as much as you can, second and long, third and long situations, because I think they're clearly your two best pass rushers among the outside linebackers. So there will be plenty of snaps to go around, but yeah, that's going to be an interesting discussion point here during the bye week for the coaches. We'll get to talk to the coaches today on Tuesday and then on Wednesday as well. I'm not sure if we get the defensive coaches today or tomorrow, but yeah, for Denzel Martin and for all those coaches down there who coach the linebackers, it's going to be something that you know, they're going to have to work out on their own. But in the end, I think it does end up being a strength for this football team.
A little bit later in the show, I want to talk about how the Steelers' success sort of manifests when you compare to the rest of the AFC North and where that's maybe moved the expectations of the Steelers. Little reminder, though, the Steelers on FanDuel.sportsbook.com. You can always check them out. They're plus 220 to win the AFC North. The Ravens still the favorite. A little surprised by that at minus 170. The Bengals are at plus 1,100 and the Browns at plus 1,700. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the show, but sportsbook.fanduel.com is your place for that sort of stuff. All right, Ray, to wrap up this topic, let's talk a little offense. DK Metcalf, I thought this was the Steelers' best usage of him this season by far. I loved it. Kenneth Gainwell, sort of a surprise starter. I didn't expect him to carry this much of a workload, certainly going into the game. And then even when Jaylen Warren was down, I was surprised they went with Gainwell as much as they did, but it really, really worked. I know you're watching for your report card. Like, what did you see in there that led this to work as well as it did?
Well, I know early on they had DK in the slot for one or two of his catches. I think you probably picked up on that as well. Just short little, hey, if you're going to play off coverage, we're going to do an RPO, or we're going to call that at the line of scrimmage.
I still wish they did that more, Ray.
Yeah.
Just a hot read. I don't care if it's 4 yards. I'll take that and the chance of maybe him breaking it. That's
an easy 4 yards. If DK Metcalf catches the ball, he's big, he's physical. That's 4 or 5 yards every time. And then with the big play, you know, he was lined up outside. I thought Arthur Smith did a great job scheming that open. You know, he ran a motion there. It occupied the linebacker for just a split second or two. And then, you know, that window for Aaron, it wasn't super big. And he really, you know, once he hit his back foot, that ball was out. And that's what you got to do. You got to get the ball into your playmakers' hands. And, you know, that was really encouraging to see. You know, the Vikings made some adjustments, of course. They weren't going to let DK go off for 250 on them. But, yeah, that was really good to see. It's going to be interesting. You ask if it's sustainable. Maybe we'll find out today about Calvin Austin's injury. You know, he tweeted something to the effect that he's good. I don't know exactly what that means. You know, number 2 receiver is important. You know, they've been using Calvin as an outside receiver. He's been their down the field guy more so than DK in terms of stretching the defense. And if he's not available, you know, among the receivers, I think Roman Wilson probably steps up into that role. But then you just look at the target distribution and the target shares. Maybe this is a way to get Pat Freiermuth involved as well. I don't know what's going on there, but he and Jonnu Smith, their snaps were way down. I get it to a certain extent. You wanted to play heavy against the Vikings, but that's not good if you're the tight ends and you know, you have the numbers you do at this point of the season.
All right, we might as well just jump on that, Ray. That's I wanted to get to it later in the show, but it doesn't make any sense. You're spending this money on tight ends. You know, we've seen what Pat Freiermuth can do. We've seen what Jonnu Smith can do. They use Jonnu a little bit. I don't get it. Like, I understand allocating Spencer Anderson to getting the running game going and heavy packages and stuff. Like, cool. Why are the tight ends not as involved in this offense as they need to be? Like, this is not money well spent. I don't understand football the way you or others do. Not that I'm an idiot, but like, I do understand spending money and not getting production out of it. And that's what's happening.
So we were having the same discussion about DK last week. They finally figured out a way. They made a concerted effort to get him the football. Maybe that's all it takes for Pat Freiermuth as well. Just have it in your mind that you're gonna be a number one target on some plays, and we're gonna get you the football. Maybe that's part of it as well. You know, I didn't have any dreams that Jonnu Smith was going to be a good blocker. That's not his game.
Yeah.
If you watch Freiermuth, I think he's serviceable as a blocker, but that's not his strength. You know, he's a guy who's more going to stretch the field on you. I just wonder, because the offensive line is still in development, if they are going to run the football, Jason, do they have to always go heavy to be effective? And if they have to do that, what does that mean for Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith? I really liked that offense against the Vikings. I'm not complaining. I mean, it was winning football. You controlled, you rushed for over 100 yards, really controlled that game until, you know, the prevent defense took over midway through the fourth quarter. You're up big on a good football team. I liked what I saw, but if you have to play that way to run the ball, then Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith aren't going to be a big part of the offense. And like I noted last week when I wrote about it, you're paying Pat Freiermuth $12 million. I think Jonnu Smith is on the books for like $8 million this year. That's $20 million in expenditures that you're not utilizing. So I'm sure they're going to talk about that during the bye week. But again, I have no complaints about the way that game unfolded from an offensive standpoint. It was winning football. They did what they had to do. So maybe we'll see more of the heavy personnel in the weeks to come.
Yeah, I mean, I think two things can be true, right? I mean, you go with what helps you win the game. That's the most important thing. But at big picture, like I look at Arthur Smith's offense, what we've heard, Jonnu Smith right now, if I would have told you that he caught 88 balls for 884 yards and 8 touchdowns or whatever it was for the Dolphins, somebody who didn't have any context would think that I was insane. So I hope that over the bye week, they kind of scheme that up a little bit better. I just think that's, it's one of the reasons why I think the Steelers are actually in decent shape, because they're 3-1, and I don't think they've played anywhere near their best football. And the tight ends are a part of it. The offensive line's part of it. The lack of running game early is a part of it. The defense early on. So we'll get to all that stuff and how they stack up in the AFC North in the second segment. Also want to talk a little bit about DeShon Elliott, his impact, maybe some offensive line talk if we can get to it. Have a short break and then back with more on the North Shore Drive podcast, Tuesday edition with Ray Fittipaldo and Jason Mackey. And welcome back to the North Shore Drive podcast. We'll talk about the Steelers' place in the AFC, a little bit about DeShon Elliott and more. First, though, have a message from our friends at Goldberg, Persky & White. If you were diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer, call your local attorneys at Goldberg, Persky & White. For over 40 years, their firm has represented thousands of lung cancer and mesothelioma victims. Call 1-800-COMPLEX or visit GPW Law for a free consultation. All right, Ray, so the Steelers are 3-1. We'll start there. A surprise 3-1, maybe, based on some of the stuff that we've seen, but the Ravens are banged up. They're not in great shape. The Chiefs are, you've only got a couple 3-1 teams. Right now, the Bills are really the only team that's looked all that dominant. Like, I look at this and I think that the Steelers have not played their best football. I'm not burying them. I'm not saying they're making a playoff, a deep playoff run, but like, my argument would be that they're in pretty good shape right now. Do you disagree with any of that?
No, Jason, I think they're in excellent shape. And, Lamar Jackson, I don't know the severity of that hamstring injury, but they got 2 more games before their bye week. I mean, any kind of hamstring injury, you're not going to be 100%, even if he does play against the Texans on Sunday. And, they're right where they need to be. I mean, we talked about it in April, get the 4-0 or 3-1, and, you'll be in position to maybe absorb some losses in the second half when the schedule does toughen up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised where they are, but I'm surprised at how bad they played in the first 3 weeks that they are able to be 3-1, right? Like,
yeah, I get you.
you play the way you did against the Jets and the Patriots and take the turnovers away from the Patriots game. I mean, they were hemorrhaging yards, and they were playing well on possession downs in those games. So to be a 3-1, in some ways they're fortunate, but like I said, they're right where they need to be. And it's funny, every year the Steelers seem to do this, right? Last year it was the Bengals who got off to a slow start. The Bengals were supposed to be a team that contended for the playoffs. They never were able to overcome that slow start. The Steelers kind of they did what they had to do. They kept chugging along, had a good record. They fell apart at the end, but they were still there. So we'll see if they could repeat that again. But obviously, Jason, what you want to do this time is you want to be playing your best football into December and January. And maybe the struggles they had early, maybe figuring things out while you're winning is what's best for this football team. And maybe they will be a better version of themselves a month, 2 months, 3 months from now.
Yeah. I mean, I just look at a couple things, Ray. Like I pulled up the standings while you were talking. I should have had them on my computer, but I mean, I'm looking at the Colts at 3-1, the Jaguars at 3-1. I'm not taking either of those teams seriously until they give me more of a reason to do it. The Patriots at 2-2. Texans are 1-3. Broncos are 2-2. I'm just, and then I juxtapose that with what I've seen out of the Steelers. The defense is starting to show us what it can be. It was bad early on, but if you shut down the run, make teams one-dimensional. I mean, they were so aggressive in that Vikings game, or able to be aggressive based on, guys winning their matchups and just overpowering Minnesota. I was very impressed by that. If you're able to find a running game, I think Aaron Rodgers has been pretty darn good. And then if you can figure out a way to block him, and I know it's an if you can get your tight ends involved, I know it's an if, you can start to see it. And maybe I'm out over my skis too much, but I think they're in pretty decent place. And I know you don't disagree.
No, and the one thing you have to look at, if you look at the inter-conference record, I think the NFC has done better against the AFC. I know we're only at the quarter pole of the season. I'm starting to wonder if the AFC is a little bit top heavy. I think the Bills are legit.
Yeah.
Everyone thought the Ravens were going to be right there. I even take a little Lamar Jackson injury out of it. That defense has a ton of issues. And just the AFC, it was going into the season, it was viewed as the dominant conference. I'm just not sure.
I'm not sure it is.
With Burrow's injury, I think there's a lot of questions about the quality of the teams and the depth of this conference right now, and maybe the Steelers will be in position to take advantage of that.
A couple more minutes of the North Shore Drive podcast, Ray Fittipaldo and Jason Mackey, Tuesday edition. Ray, one thing that we saw, I don't think it can be understated. I think, I was talking earlier about sustainable stuff and important stuff. Man, I love watching DeShon Elliott play football. I think he has a positive impact pretty much every game he's in there. I don't know how much, it has to do with improving the communication issues, but I know it has a lot to do with improving the energy. The guy makes an interception, gets a sack. I love the intensity that he brings. How not surprised are you, or why are we seeing better things with DeShon Elliott in the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, we found out over the offseason how they viewed him. They jettisoned Minka Fitzpatrick and they signed DeShon Elliott to a new contract. And it was only one game, but maybe that's the reason that the defense was much better against the Vikings until the very end. And we should note there were injuries that affected how they played for the final portion of that fourth quarter. But Elliott gets that turnover early. They brought him on blitzes. Even the one time he had a sack, but even the one time he didn't get a sack, he came in, he forced the fullback to take him on. He went head over heels, and then somebody else came in and cleaned up the sack. So,
he went head over heels, and then he got right back up and went after the guy. I love that, man.
Yeah, he's a good football player. That's the bottom line. And I know they just signed him to a new contract, but you need guys like that who are going to break the bank and still be really quality football players for you. And they obviously got a good one in DeShon. So, they're going to cross their fingers. Hopefully they can stay healthy. Maybe Joey Porter gets back for the Browns game. Doesn't sound like Jalen Ramsey is going to. Maybe we'll find out more today or tomorrow when we get a chance to talk to the players. But, the secondary once they get healthy, and that might not be for a while, but once they get healthy, I do think eventually they're going to be better. And that's really the one aspect of the defense that I'm a little bit concerned about now. It's more so because of the communication issues that I keep seeing, but you keep hearing Mike Tomlin say, oh, the injuries, that's the reason why this is happening. I get it, but even when those guys are down, you got to be better than they have been, at safety and at cornerback as well.
No doubt. I asked Mike Tomlin about that, why he thought the defense was better. And I thought his answer was interesting. He said he liked the plan that they had. And I don't know if it was a little bit more simple. I don't know. I don't think they're out of the woods with the communication issues, but whatever they did against the Vikings, I would certainly like to see that replicated a little bit more. And you get some guys back healthy, and this defense needs to be elite. I mean, we're sort of stating the obvious. We were talking about, tight end production compared to what these guys are making. You need the same thing on the defensive side. You're paying the most money in the NFL, and it's a positive development to me that you're starting this is starting to look like the most expensive defense.
Yeah, the one thing that Mike always talks about, and we won't get a chance to talk to Mike this week because they don't have news conferences during their bye week, but sometimes he'll say, when you play a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson, sometimes you just let those guys get theirs. And Justin Jefferson had a bunch of yards. He was active in the game, but until that 81-yard catch and run, Jordan Addison didn't do much. Hawkinson didn't do much. The running game didn't do much. So they just kind of picked their poison there. They said, okay, Jefferson, you're going to get your yards. We're going to keep it contained, and then we're not going to let these other guys beat them. And that's really what I thought the game plan was. They did a really good job of shutting down their secondary, their second and third options until very late in that football game. So, good plan by the Steelers. And obviously when the front seven is active and playing as well as they were, that makes it much easier on the back end as well.
Good talk as always, Ray. Appreciate it. Enjoy it. Have fun down there today. I will not make it. I'm going to be writing a Pirates column, but I'm looking forward to that as well. All of you watching and listening, make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of this and so much more content from our Post-Gazette North Shore Drive podcast and YouTube channels. For Ray Fittipaldo, I'm Jason Mackey. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.